Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Vap Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. In this video, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful bubu gown with a built-up collar strip. If this is your first time on my channel or you are yet to subscribe, please kindly click on the subscribe button to subscribe and make sure you put on your notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into the tutorial. Thank you. I'll be making use of this African print and a doll face satin for this project. The African print will be the main bodies of the gown, while the satin is going to be for the collar strip. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to fold the Ankara print. I'm going to be folding it selvage to selvage, that's which is border to border, me folding the wrapper into two. After doing that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the length of the gown. So placing my tape from the beginning of the wrapper, I'm going to measure the length of the gown, which is 54 inches, plus 2 inches for hemming allowance and 1 inch for cutting ease. So that's 57 in total. I'm going to cut out that 57 inches and place it on the remaining Ankara print and cut the second one. As I'm going to be cutting two of this. This is because I'm going to draft both the front and back together. As you can see, I've cut the second one. So you can see I now have two folds here. So one will serve as the front and the other will serve as the back. So now the next thing to do is to draw the starting line, which is the shoulder line. On this shoulder line, I'm going to mark a neck width of 4 inches. And then I'm come to this other end of the wrapper where I have the selvage of the wrapper, the opened part. I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches and connect it to the neck width to create the shoulder slant. So having done that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the vertical measurements, which is the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line. And then the next is the full length of the gown, then plus the hemming allowance of 2 inches. So I'm just going to use my ruler to straighten the lines. Now we have the bust line, the waistline, the hip line, and the full length. Next, I'm going to enter the quarter of the bust measurement plus 2.5 inches on the bust line. And then on the waistline, I'm going to enter quarter of the waist measurement plus 2.5 inches. On the hip line, I will repeat the same thing. Quarter of the hip measurement plus 2.5 inches. And then whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to add 3 inches to it and place it on the hem. So let's say I have 12 inches on the hip line. I'm going to use 15 inches on the hem line. And then I'll connect it to the hip line. From the hem, I connected to the hip line, and then I'm connecting from waist to bust line. Having done that, I'm going to create the sleeve opening now. So from the bust line, I'll come down by 2 inches from the bust line to create the sleeve opening. And take note, I'm doing it on the open side where we have the border of the wrapper. And then I'll connect it to the bust measurement like this. And then I'm going to create a curve here at the side. Can you see? This is so that it's not sharp at the side. So I created a curve there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the neck depth. I already have the neck width of 4 inches. So the neck depth is 1 inch. And this is the neck depth for the back. So now for the front neckline, I'll come down by 6.5 inches. And then I'm also going to connect it to the neck width of 4 inches. You see? So now we have the V neck for the front and we have the round neck for the back. On the shoulder line, I went up by half of an inch. This half inch is the seam allowance I'll be using to join the front and back shoulders together. So we are done with our drafting. I'll bring in my scissors and cut on the back because the back is higher. So I'll be cutting on the back and then I'll separate the front from the back before we can cut the front properly. As you can see, I'm just following the shape my markings or the shape I already created or the shape I already drew. Okay, so this is what it looks like the back after cutting it out. So I'm going ahead to trim out the salvage I have here. So here we are. So I'm going to separate the front from the back so that I can now cut the front neckline. After cutting the front neckline out, the next thing I'm going to do is to come in by 1 inch from the center front. Remember, we're going to have a collar strip. This is to create the opening for the collar strip. So I'm marking 1 inch inwards from the center front. I'm going to use my long ruler to connect the points and cut out this 1 inch I have marked here. Can you see? So I'm going to blend out this side as I'm going to use my pattern master to just create this blended curve here because you don't want to leave this sharp. Can you see? So you can see that it just flows nicely. So I just blended it in and then I'm going ahead to cut out this 1 inch. After cutting out this 1 inch, you can see that I now have two pieces for the front. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure what I have here. From the hem of the gown all the way to the shoulder line, I'm going to take the measurement of what I have here. Can you see? So right now I have 57 inches or about 58 inches. I remember I have two pieces, so that means I have 58 in two places. And then I'll bring in the back piece of the gown and also measure the neckline, and I have 5 inches here. So, and remember that the neckline is also on fold, so I have 58 plus 5, that's about 63. So I need to have 63 in two places. So the collar strip I'm going to cut is going to be 63 times 2, which will give me 126. And the length of my satin will not be up to this 126. So I'm going to cut 63 in two places. I'm going to make it about 65. I can always trim out my excess. So 65 in two places, and then I'll join it at the middle to give me one collar strip because my satin is not going to give me the entire length of 126 at the same time. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to fold 2 inches. I'm placing my satin and I'm folding 2 inches. I'm folding 2 inches. That's going to be the width of the collar strip. Remember, I already cut out 1 inch from the center front. So I'm going to cut 2 inches to make sure that it brings me back to the exact measurement I'm supposed to have, because I'm going to join this collar strip to the Ankara print or to the main gown. So at the end of the day, I'm going to be losing half inch. I'm going to be losing 1 inch because I'll use half inch to join the both of them together. So automatically that takes away 1 inch from the entire measurement. So this collar strip must be up to 2 inches, or 2 inches is the actual measurement for in a case where you have removed 1 inch from the center front. I hope that makes sense. So after marking the 2 inches, I'm going ahead to cut out the collar strip, and then I'll also place and cut the second one. And right now you can see I have two of the collar strips, and this is what I have. So I'm going to open up this collar strip. I'm going to place it right side facing right side, and I'll go and join them together so that I can have one long strip that will give me 126. So you must place them right side facing right side and then join on 1/2 inch. I also went ahead to cut the band I'll be sewing to the hem of the sleeve. So this is what I did. I just measured the hem, that's the width, what I have here at the hem of the sleeve, and I have 13 inches. Take note that I have this 13 inches in two places. The front is there and the back is also there. So that will give me 26 inches. So I went ahead to cut a band. I placed my fabric on fold of 2 inches, just like I did for the collar strip. 2 inches, as you can see, and then the width of the band, that's the width. Now this is the width I'm measuring. The width is about, it's more than 26. I made it about 30 inches. I'm going to trim out my excess because I actually need just 26 inches, and I have two for this, which will be for the right hand and the left hand. And then I also went ahead to cut my lining. The lining is 2 inches shorter than the main length of the fabric. You see? So now it's time for us to start stitching our pieces together. We are done drafting and cutting. So I'm going to place the lining on the right side of the fabric like this. I'll open up the fabric and then I'll open up the gown. I'll use the back to show us how to go about this. And then I'm going to place the lining on the right side. I will stitch from the hem. That's, I'll join them at the hem on 1/2 inch. And then before I go ahead and join the sides. So by placing it on the right side of the fabric and then joining it at the hem, so this will allow it shift up. Remember that the fabric is 2 inches longer than the main, that's the fabric is 2 inches longer than the lining. And you see, so I'm going to place it this way and then go ahead and stitch the hem, and then before I go ahead and stitch the sides, I'll repeat the same thing for the front. I won't be stitching the neckline and I won't be stitching the shoulder area. I'm just going to be stitching the hem and the sides, and then I'll come back and show us the next thing to do. Okay, so I'm done stitching the hem of the gown and I've also stitched the sides. This is because I'm not going to be weaving it. I repeated the same thing for the front pieces also. So the next thing we're going to do is to join the two shoulders together. That's the front and back shoulders together. So I'm going to place the fabric, the lining facing lining, and then you can see what I have. The ankara will be on the right side. So I'm going to now flip the ankara to the right side of the other ankara. That's the 10 ankara, right side of ankara facing right side, and then lining facing each other on this side. And then I'm going to go and stitch on 1/2 inch and come back and show us the next thing to do. So I'm through with joining the shoulders. So the next thing I'm going to do is to stitch the center front around the neckline and then all the way down to the hem, as I'm stitching the fabric and the lining together so that I can now have one piece. This is to keep it in place. If not, the lining will be shifting and the ankara will be shifting. So just stitch them together. Having done that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure the neck width or the neck opening. So from the center back here, I'm going to measure how deep I want the neckline to be. So already here we have 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and measure to the front neckline. I want to have a depth of 12 inches in total. That's including the back. So just take note of the way I measured. I measured from the center back and then I'm stopping at 12 inches. That's how wide I want the opening of the neckline to be. Next, I'm going to bring in the collar strip. I've gone ahead to iron stay to the collar strip. This is to give it stability so that the collar can stand well. So from this center where I joined the two collar strip together, this part is going to be the center back. Make sure that this part where you join the strip together is at the center back. And then I went ahead to mark 12 inches, which is the neck depth I'm working with. Okay, so having marked this 12 inches, at this point where I have this 12 inches, I'm going to open the collar strip. making sure that the crease line of this collar strip, they are facing each other. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm placing the collar strip right side facing right side, and I'm making sure that the crease line aligns. I came down by 12 inches and I marked at the point where I have 12 inches, and now I'm opening the collar strip to face each other, right side facing each other. And then I want to make sure that this part where I have the crease line, that's where my iron created a crease line, is actually aligning with the one on the other side. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to stitch from these 12 inches I have here. That's from the 12 inches down to the end. So after stitching the collar strip at the center, I went ahead to stitch close the sides. This is so that I can have one strip now. That's after stitching at the center and making sure I've left my 12 inches opening. I actually made a video of this part. I don't know how it disappeared from my phone, so I'm so sorry. I'm going to explain it in a way that we'll understand. So, like I was saying, I said I stitched close the collar strip and made it a single piece. After doing that, I went ahead to notch the center of the collar strip, and then I also went ahead to notch the center back of the main gown. Having done that, I now went ahead to pin the collar strip, pinning it on the right side of the fabric. That's from the right side of the fabric. I pinned the collar strip. I pinned it from the one side of the center, that's from the center back down to the hem, and then I also pinned from the center back down to the other hem. You need to stitch it from one center, that's from the center back down to one side of the hem, and then you start from the center back and also stitch it down to the other hem. Don't stitch from one hem round and take it down to the other hem. Start from the center back. This will actually help your collar to sit very well and avoid any misalignment issue. So start from center back, take it round, that's the neck, one side of the neckline, one side of the front neckline, and then take it all the way down to the hem. And then I repeated the same thing on the other side. I stitched from one side of the back neckline to the front neckline down to the hem of the front. I hope we understand that. And then I also went ahead to sew the band. That's the band for the sleeve. I stitched it to the sleeve opening, and then I went ahead to shape this gown on my sewing allowance. I used shaped it on 1 inch because the gown is supposed to be very free. I shaped it on 1 inch. So the last thing I'm going to do is to tack cover buttons to the center front. I'm going to be tacking cover buttons to this black collar strip I have here. So that's it, and we are done with this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video because I enjoyed making this gown, and I hope you learned something. If you did learn something, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.